Hey everybody, Taylor Whitehead with Peak Marketing. Today we are going to talk about keyword research. I'm going to show you how I do it and how I go about it, and talk about a different couple of different things that you can do for yourself to be able to do this really well. I will be looking off screen occasionally. I've got my handy notepad here. Well, I'll be looking through my notes just to make sure I go over everything. Also, if you're reading through the content on the site, I highly recommend that you watch this video to make it a little bit easier for you to digest and follow all the different steps as we go through this thing. Okay, so keyword research. Google uses keywords to understand what the users are trying to find when they type in those words on their search engine. We, as marketers, and for our business owners, if we're trying to market our business, need to understand what those keywords are and how to best use them and find the best ones for our business. Now, the best can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different companies. It depends on several different situations and what you're trying to accomplish. So today I'm going to try to go through all those different steps, talk about those different situations, and help you decide what's the best way for you to go about doing this. So let's start with the very first step, which is brainstorming. I always recommend that you avoid all the tools first and just use your own head when you're first coming up with a list of these keywords. Okay, so again, grab a little notebook. It's not really showing up super well. Grab your notebook. Start just jotting down things that you're like, well, maybe somebody would search for example, if you're a criminal defense attorney, maybe someone's going to type in DUI attorney or something of that nature, and go ahead and write that down. And then maybe a drug protection attorney or whatever the case is, right? Just start jotting down things in your own head because that's going to be the best place to start. Once you've got those keywords jotted down, what I then suggest is taking those keywords and dropping them into a tool to help start growing this keyword list that you have and to understand how good the keywords are that you came up with. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through pieces of this process together. Okay, so we like to use Ahrefs for our keyword research. There's tons of tools out there, guys. You can use whatever tool you like best. There's a couple of metrics that I'm going to point out, so you just want to make sure that the tool includes these different metrics, but there's plenty of them out there that you could utilize. I just personally like to use Ahrefs the most. So within Ahrefs, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your seed keywords. Okay, so let's just pretend that we had New Jersey criminal defense lawyer as a keyword we came up with that people likely would type in. Okay, once you've plugged that keyword in, there's two different sections that you're going to look at here. The first section is this keyword terms match. Okay, so you're going to come down in here to where it says view all, and then you're going to look and see, okay, did I type in the best variation of this particular keyword phrase? Okay, because occasionally you'll have something like criminal defense lawyer New Jersey rather than New Jersey criminal defense lawyer, right? The way the words are organized is also important. For this particular keyword, we hit the nail on the head for the one that's got a decent amount of search volume. However, one thing I do want to point out is over here, you're going to have something called a parent topic. Occasionally, this parent topic is even better than the keyword you typed in. And right now, we're just saying better in the sense of has the most search volume. So if I came over here to parent topics, I see that it actually uses the word attorney rather than lawyer. So if I click on this parent topic here, it's going to bring up a new report and it's going to show me that the potential traffic volume is 4.4K. So 4,400 visits that you could potentially get from this. If I go back to our original screen here for our criminal defense lawyer, you can see the traffic potential is 1.3K. Now, keep in mind, where a lot of people get hung up is they'll look at that one keyword and they'll say, hey, the search volume is 500 for this single keyword. But when we went and we looked at this other keyword, it was only 300 for this specific keyword. We want to focus more on all of the different variations that could potentially be pulled by typing in this keyword. And that's what this particular tool does for us, is it'll say, hey, here's the potential of these different variations of this keyword. And this is what you could get if you ranked well for a lot of different variations of that similar keyword. So attorney has far more than lawyer is what we're really learning here by looking at this. So we would want to consider that, right? It's not to say we want to ignore lawyer keywords and only do attorney keywords, but we want to consider that, hey, we might get more bang for our buck by targeting attorney rather than lawyer. So maybe I went too far in the weeds on that one, but that's kind of what you would want to look at with those particular keywords. Next, what we want to look at. So once we've done this particular portion and we say, okay, this is a good list of keywords, let's dive into a specific keyword for this next piece here. So let's go with criminal defense attorney, New Jersey. Okay. If you look up here at the top, there's a couple of different icons here that I want to draw to your attention. And we're going to talk about search intent real quick. So when somebody types in criminal defense attorney, New Jersey, there's a couple of reasons that they could potentially do that. Okay, and what this is showing us is one, it could be an informational search, meaning that they're just trying to gather information about different law firms that are out there. And two, it's a local search, meaning that they're looking for something specific to this area, right? So in this case, the state of New Jersey, right? They're trying to find somebody that's in that state. Other icons that could potentially pop up here is commercial intent, transactional intent, and navigational intent. Okay, so commercial is meaning that they are putting together a list. Okay, they're trying to make a decision on who they want to make a purchase from. Transactional is they are ready to buy. Okay, so those are generally the keywords that a lot of people think of when they're like, hey, if somebody types this in, they're more than likely trying to hire an attorney, so we want to rank for that particular keyword. So as you're going through, you need to consider what your strategy is. Okay, so it's totally fine to target informational keywords, which just means they're just gathering information. Maybe they don't even understand what a criminal defense attorney does and how it can help them. So they just plugged in that search to be able to figure something like that out. If you want to rank for those keywords, that's fine. Just understand that's what we call top of the funnel. Okay, transactional being at the very bottom, meaning they're ready to buy. Informational meaning they don't even know they potentially have a problem yet that they need to get solved. So, and then there's everything in between that. With these keywords, it's okay for you to say, hey, we want to rank for some informational keywords. If you're just getting started out though with your marketing, generally we want to make sure we're focusing on the bottom of this funnel and that we're targeting a lot of those transactional keywords so that we can get the best bang for our buck. And then as our firm grows, we can start to target more broad keywords, more informational keywords, just to get our brand name out there a little bit more. That's the way I would think about keyword research. Informational is for you if you're a pretty well-established firm and you're just trying to get your name out in front of the masses. Transactional keywords are more for you if you're a newer firm, you're getting off the ground, and you really need some quick hitter strategies that are going to get you some clients pretty fast. Okay, so now that we understand user intent, let's talk a little bit about volume. Okay, so search volume, this number right here, signifies how many searches per month exist for that one keyword. So keep in mind, this particular search volume, we're only looking at criminal defense attorney New Jersey and nothing else. Okay, it's only looking at that one keyword. Traffic potential, like we already discussed, is looking at a lot of variations of that keyword that exist and saying, okay, you could get up to 4,400 visits because of ranking for multiple keywords of this variation. Generally speaking, when a keyword has more search volume, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for us to rank for it, which brings up my next point, keyword difficulty. Okay, so again, this is an Ahrefs metric, but again, the tools are going to have variations of these things depending on what you're using. Keyword difficulty is just this tool's way of saying, hey, this is how hard on a scale of 0 to 100 it's going to be for you to rank for this particular keyword. The way I use this scale, and take it with a grain of salt, because this isn't perfect. You do want to go to a search and look at some things with your own eyes. But if we're just going strictly off this score, I generally say, hey, if you're wanting to quickly rank and get some more immediate results, try to target anything that's 10 or less on this keyword difficulty scale. Once you start going above that, it's going to take a little bit more time to rank for those types of keywords because they're a little bit more competitive. Generally, you want to avoid anything once it goes over 50. It's just going to be a bloodbath. And again, that's going to be reserved for those big spenders, those really big firms that are really trying to go after it. Most of the time, though, if you're just a smaller firm, you want to avoid those big keywords. You may naturally start ranking for them over time, but that's generally years in the making, and it's not going to be a very easy task. So do not go after anything that's over 50. And if you're really just getting yourself started, try to stay below 10. Anything in between that 10 to 50 range, I would say is reasonable for you've already gotten started. You're kind of in this growth stage where you're really trying to push your growth and get a few more clients in the door. Then sure, you can go after some of those more competitive keywords, but don't do that right out the gate if you're just getting started. Okay, let's talk a little bit about competitor keywords and how we can use what competitors are already ranking for to help us understand what we should potentially go after. So within Ahrefs, this is actually super easy. You just go into this, start from the top here and do this. You come in here to this Site Explorer, you plug in the domain, and then it's going to bring you to a screen that looks something like this on an overview. We are interested in the organic keyword section that's right here. Okay, so if we click on this number, it's going to pull up all of these different keywords that we could potentially rank for. Now, you'll see very quickly, this particular competitor ranks for tons of keywords, okay, well over 5,000. What we want to do is just focus on the local keywords. Okay, so in this particular case, again, we want to look at something like New Jersey. And then depending on where you're specifically located, so you can start on the state level and then drill down after that and say, you know what, I'm located in Jersey City and I want to be able to see what keywords this guy's ranking for inside of that particular metro. Hit show results. And then this is going to have far more specific keywords for you to be able to glean and look at. So within here, what we can generally do is take a look at either search volume and or the position if we want to see what this particular person is ranking for, how they're ranking, or we can also look at traffic. Now keep in mind that traffic is just saying, hey, if there's 620 searches for a New Jersey criminal defense lawyer and you're in the third position, you're going to get 134 of those 620 visits that exist. That's Ahrefs way of giving you an estimate. You're not going to get all 620. Okay. People aren't always going to click on the first result. They're going to go to different results in Google. So that's the number that you would get by being in the third position. So what we can do once we've got this list though, is we can start to say, okay, I really want to focus on DUIs. That's my main thing that I want to be able to get more clients for. So then if you take a look at this list, you can say right off the bat, hey, DUI lawyer New Jersey is a really big keyword. We could potentially take a look at that one. New Jersey DUI lawyer. Let's see. There's some DWI lawyers that are also being listed in here. New Jersey DUI. And you get the idea, right? You just kind of look through your list. And you can also, if that's the case, if you really just wanted to focus in on those particular keywords, you could always do something like this, where you come back to your keyword filters, put in New Jersey, again, to keep it local, and then Jersey City, to keep it specific. And then down here, you can also put DUI. And then we can put all rules, which means it's only going to pull keywords that include all of these things. Or we can do any rule, which means it's going to pull all the different variations that exist. So if you're trying just to do DUI, you probably don't want to have two different locations if you want to use this all rule, so that it'll only pull the specific ones for that location and that are using DUI. And it looks like for that particular search, we just get the one that comes up. And that's a great way to do this. If you're like, hey, I want to be very, very targeted in the way that I'm doing my SEO and my keyword research, this is where I would start, right? And saying, okay, DUI defense in Jersey City. That's going to be one of the better keywords that we can go after here. Has a decent traffic potential that you can see off the side here, and it's not a very competitive keyword at all. So I would say, hey, this is a great keyword if we want to be able to target something more granularly. So anyways, you can kind of see how quickly this can spider out. We did all of that from just looking at what a competitor is already ranking for and then gleaning some of the information from what already exists for them. So you don't always have to start from complete scratch when you're doing this research. You can start to glean a little bit more information by looking at what your competitors are doing too. Okay, last thing that we'll talk about, and then we'll wrap up this video, is the keyword gap analysis. So if you're trying to understand where you, like how you compare, I guess is the best way to put that, to your other competitors when it comes to keywords, you can do a simple search, something like New Jersey criminal defense attorney, but you can do this with any keyword that you want to look at with these different competitors. And then we can scroll through the different results. And if you have the Ahrefs extension, this is a little bit quicker. If you have a different tool, I'm sure they have an extension as well. Otherwise, you would just grab each of these URLs individually and then look at this information that we're about to chat about. So there's really two different metrics that we want to look at right now as we look at this. There's the domain level metric, and then there's the page level metric. Okay, the page level tells us, generally speaking, specifically for that keyword, here's how many keywords they are ranking for, that particular page is ranking for. Okay, so this page, when we type in New Jersey criminal defense attorney, this particular competitor has their homepage that comes up, and their homepage ranks for 159 keywords. On the whole, their entire site ranks for 5,500 keywords. So if we scroll down and we look at some more of these local competitors, you can quickly tell that if we're not ranking for ballpark 1,000, there's always going to be some outliers. But if we're not ranking for at least 1,000 keywords, generally we're not really doing that well compared to what everyone on the first page is doing. Google will look at this and they will tell you, hey, because you're not ranking for as many keywords as your competitors, again, there's several factors. That's why we see some that have less keywords that are doing pretty well. But this is one of the things Google would look at. How much depth of information do you have on your website and how many different topics are you covering and how many keywords are you ranking for because of that? That is the power of keyword research in a nutshell. The more of this content that we generate and the more targeted it is to these different keywords that we can rank for, the better it's going to help you rank for more competitive keywords as well. So this is, again, it's a great way to go about this to say, hey, let's target some less competitive keywords and try to rank for lots of keywords, and that will help you push the more competitive keywords over time. So that's why I say take a look at the keywords that your competitors are ranking for, see how many they're ranking for, and then take that into account when you're looking at your own time frame and saying, hey, how much content do I really need to generate here to be able to start to catch up to what these competitors are doing? So that's just kind of a quick bonus tip for you at the end of all this keyword research that we're doing and why there's some value in doing that. I hope you found this video valuable. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can click the link in the description below to get in touch with us and ask any questions that you have. Appreciate your time.